Well, it is a toggle switch. Toggle switch means it is a switch which you lift up and then you move, and then it goes in its slot, then you lift up and move it. It's not easy to be moved. It has to be a deliberate action of moving it. And it is not something that if something fails, then it will move. So the switch, I wish I could show you what the switch looks like, but you would be able to find the video of it, of the switch. And it is, it is almost about an inch long lever that you have to pull it and move it up and down.
So, for the very first and at a first glance, can we say that this report very indicates that it is a human error, like it's a pilot-based error, sir?
No, any kind of a suggestion like this will actually go on to say that, it was a suicide. Very simple as this. Because that switch has no relevance. That switch does not, it is error is a word in which, we do by mistake. By mistake, you cannot climb to 10th floor. Okay, it has to be an intentional activity to go to 10th floor from ground floor. Isn't it? So there is no unintentional, and here the pilot is denying. In the cockpit, the pilot is there is a discussion, because when the pilot flying feels that there is no power, he says, obviously he says, why did you cut off? He says, I didn't do it. So there is a denial from the pilot side also, that he did not do it. So whatever happened automatically. All I am saying is, automatically the switches don't move.
The very question which I was referring to, sir, that both the pilots were discussing that the second pilot was saying that he didn't move it. So
Right.
How this fuel switch got moved? And
No.
if the cockpit voice recording is telling that pilots were conversating about this very fuel switch, and it was very 92 seconds in which all this got happened, sir. And the same question which I have asked you many times, sir, that if this flight will be in mid-air, can we have more time to adjust it all and fix it also?
Yeah, so if this aircraft was in mid-air and like 35,000 feet, 40,000 feet, and both engines did fail, then the memory items does say move these switches to off and move it to run. And that is the procedure for relighting or restarting the engine. So if the switches had been moved, even in this case, it would only be in the process of getting the power back. But that is post and happening of engine failure, not before.
What now for this accident, sir? And what are the takeaways after this accident, sir?
Yeah,
and when we talk about the very aviation sector, very aviation industry, sir. So how do you look at this very particular accident after this report, sir?
After this report, I think there will be more questions asked there as to why the engine failed, because before this there were so many questions to be asked or speculations were there. Okay. Definitely the pilot community will be unanimous in its opinion that it is not an inadvertent action of moving the switches up and down. Okay. And the engines could shut automatically, or electrical signals or the computer signals can be wrong, but it cannot move the switches up and down. So we need more clarity on it. Was it the fuel switch, or was it the fuel shut-off valve that the AAIB means?
Can it be something else from the aircraft side as well? Because it's a very, very huge thing. And when we talk about the Boeing, this particular aircraft, you have always defended this aircraft, sir. And I have always asked many questions from the point of view, from the Dreamliner point of view, sir.
Look,
So,
even with this particular accident, this continues to be the safety, as per the safety record, it continues to be the safest aircraft in the world. That is one. That is Boeing 787. Okay. However, if there was a problem with the engine or the engine logic system or the fuel supply logic system, I don't know. they need to investigate, because things do go wrong, and whether they go wrong because there was a design fault, then Boeing will have to do something about it. If it goes wrong, because here the fuel switches cannot move on its own.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for giving your time today, and we appreciate.
Thank you. Okay, very good morning. Once again, we are back with the report. AAIB preliminary report has clarified few speculations which is out of the window now. There was no sabotage, there was no fuel contamination, there was no flap misconfiguration, there was no problem with the aircraft maintenance. Aircraft was producing full power and it achieved the right speed and it got airborne, and first 3 seconds of its flight was absolutely normal. Now this is conclusively proven by the AAIB report. In the time stamp of 0842, that is 3 seconds after takeoff, the AAIB report states that the power, the engine run cutoff switch, fuel switch transitions from the run to cutoff within 1 second. That means within 1 second this switch moved its position. There is no automatic movement of the switch. The switch is a physical switch and it cannot move inadvertently or because of any failure or because of any malfunction. What is conclusive is that at that particular instance, the aircraft stopped to produce power. It was producing 100% power or thrust, and thereafter it started to reduce power, at which the AAIB says the pilot asked the other pilot, why did you cut off the switch? Pilot said, I didn't do it. That means pilots were aware that the aircraft engine power has been lost, and pilots also were aware that they did not do any action to cause this. From thereafter, for next 10 to 14 seconds, engines were not producing power and the aircraft eventually lost lift and speed, and then it continued to descend. The AAIB report says that the switch transitioned from off to run and aircraft was trying to start itself, and in the process it went to collide. When it collided, the switch position was at the run position. The AAIB report to me is only conclusive to say that the accident happened because both engines lost power. This stage is not there to find out why did it lose power. Both did lose power. Any suggestion, any kind of an commentary, any kind of an speculation that pilots killed the engines 3 seconds after takeoff is totally incorrect. It is not a possibility. It is not a technical possibility that the switches which can be moved from one position to another on its own. Maybe the AAIB should have clarified, or maybe it will clarify in due course of time, that it was not the fuel cutoff switch but the fuel shut-off valve that probably switched off while the fuel cutoff switch continued to remain in its position. That being said, I think one thing is conclusive, that we have lost the power and the aircraft went down.